Chicago with the lead. Batista with the catch. Oh! LeBron James with no regard for human life. Hand down, man down.
Yeah, I can see how disrespectful he's being right there.
No, I went to Temecula and brought you some dirt.
Yeah, that's a technical.
Mama, there goes that man.
Welcome back to The Bounce, brought to you by Bite Size Sports. I am Kev. With me, as always, is the great James Schmeitz, and we have a special guest here today, Kayla Fonte from The Last Word on Sports. Kayla, welcome. How are you doing? How are you feeling about the playoffs?
I'm doing good. You know what? So far, it's been a great playoff series. I'm excited, curious to see who's going to make the finals. Definitely. And thank you guys for having me here today.
Thank you for being here.
Yes, thank you for coming. Appreciate it. Of course, we work together on the writing front, which I'm going to take a quick moment to plug. Last Word on Sports. Check us out, Last Word Hoops on Twitter, where we cover the NCAA and the NBA. We are gearing up for our 2023 NBA draft profile, so you can count on analysis from Kayla and myself. This is actually my favorite time of the year because we not only have the playoffs, but now is when I get to merge my love for college basketball and the NBA and figure out who's going to land where. We just got done with all of our NFL madness with the draft, James. It's hard to even pick it back up.
That was a 4-hour stream, bud.
4-hour stream. We had Darth Vader joined us on May the 4th. Yep. Is he back again?
He's around here.
He's for the cup. I was like,
he's here somewhere. He's floating around these parts. He keeps his helmet stored over here.
Oh, there we go. Wonderful. May the 4th. Happy Star Wars Day to all of you out there watching. We have a loaded chat today. So hit us up in the comments. Let us know. Give us your predictions on our one game of the night. We got Lakers, Warriors later. And any questions you have for us, any other predictions, thoughts, let us know. Let us have it in the comments, whether you're on YouTube, Twitch, or Facebook. We want to hear from you. Now, speaking of tonight's matchup, we've got to talk about it. But before we can talk about game 2, we should probably turn it back and talk about game 1, Warriors, Lakers. James, I believe you have a clip for us.
I am pulling it up right now. Yep. So let's get this maxed. So this is Jordan Poole's 3 from game 1, Kev. I want you and Kayla's thoughts here. Is this a bad shot? Is it a good shot? I'm going to let you guys give me your thoughts here. Down 3.
Curry double team. Jordan Poole lets it fly. No. Long rebound to Schroeder. Clock ticks. And finally a whistle comes.
I'm going to roll it back for you.
It's going to be a team.
I'm going to pause it right there. Kev, Kayla, what are your thoughts? They are down 3, 10.7 seconds left in this game.
Kayla, you take the lead on this one. What are your thoughts?
You know what? I'm not really a fan of this shot just because it's Jordan Poole shooting it. In the past, he's taken some questionable shots, and I think here it's definitely one of them. If it was Curry taking it, I'd feel a little bit more comfortable, but I have to give him credit. Like, given the circumstances here, spacing isn't great. There's no one really open. They have to get a 3. There's 10 seconds left in the game. He has a little bit of spacing, so I could see why he took the shot. But I don't know. I'm just not feeling it. I feel like they could have passed the ball a little bit more, look for a better opportunity. But then again, it's tough with only 10 seconds left and down by 3.
Yeah, Kayla, I tend to agree. I died on this hill a long time ago, back when Dame Lillard shot a particular pull-up over Paul George, and I believe I got into a very heated water cooler debate with one of my coworkers on the validity of that shot and how a defender would want to live with it. But I have learned, I have adapted, and as my dear friend in the parasocial kind of way, Tyrese Halliburton said he would shoot that. He made a similar shot against the Bulls. We know Curry would shoot it. Yeah, I like the shot given the circumstances. I wish it wasn't Jordan Poole shooting that shot, but the range looks questionable. But this day and age, I think these guys are practicing those shots.
Yeah, it's
some of them more often than they're practicing their free throws. Not throwing stones at this team in particular, but there are teams where guys are shooting from the volleyball line more than the free throw line. So I'm okay with this shot. 10 seconds, I think they could have swung the ball around, but what we see before that play, James, or leading up to it, is the immediate double team of Steph Curry as soon as he gets the ball across half court.
Yeah.
And the reality was, I don't know if you're going to get a more open look, even though I don't love that look. It might have been the best look you were going to get. And I am a huge preacher of don't wait for the last second to get it. If you have a good shot, take the best shot when it's there. You never know what that might be the best look you get. So what were your thoughts, James? Good shot, bad shot?
I think the same thing you do is he gets double teamed when he crosses half court. And me and Kayla were talking about it pre-show. It's Draymond and is it Jordan Poole are crossing half court, like after he gets double teamed. Clay's being denied in the corner. You have to run some offense, try to get a better look, but I'm just like you. I'd rather get the shot up with time to go just in case they miss it and something crazy happens and they miss a free throw, they get it back, get another shot. At that point in the game, Jordan Poole was 6 for 10 from downtown. So it's not like I wondered if he was just chucking away. He was 6 for 10. Now Curry was 6 for 13. Clay was 6 for 16. Like they were shooting the ball. I'm okay with it. I wish it was Curry, but as the Lakers showed, they weren't going to let Curry take it. There was no way they were going to let him take it.
Yeah, and you live with it. If he hits it, he's a hero. But here we are. So I have no problem with it. The follow-up question before we get into our prediction for Game 2: were you surprised by that outcome? We'll go with Kayla first. The Lakers taking that one from the Warriors. Were you surprised by the Game 1 outcome, Kayla?
I was kind of surprised, but I think that either way it's going to be a tight series. Originally, my prediction was Warriors in 7, so I really thought that it was going to go either way. But I was a little bit surprised too, especially like you got all the shooters on the Warriors, right? They have plenty of postseason experience. But I know, Kevin, we were talking about this before. You can't count out a team led by LeBron James, right? Anything could happen. So I was surprised, but at the same time, it's LeBron. AD has been doing great so far. Complete monster.
Oh, he's so good.
What about you, James? Do you feel, because I agree with Kayla's assessment, especially, James, we were sent a graphic. I don't know if you have it handy, if you're able to pull it up, the LeBron James.
Let me see if I can finagle it around.
Essentially, it's got a list of top-tier players and their playoff records with LeBron on their team versus their records without LeBron on their team, and the results are striking.
It's something I'm gonna, as we're talking about this, I'm gonna get it to myself. Am I surprised by the outcome? Absolutely, because Golden State doesn't lose at home. I blame it on Golden State. We're playing on the stupid court, the stupid uniforms in the playoffs. Traditional. Let's go. I think it's a fascinating display of styles. The Warriors were 21 of 53 from downtown in this game. The Lakers were 6 of 25. It is a massive difference. However, from inside the arc, the Warriors were 21 of 53 or 22 of 53. So still 40%, but not very great from 2. The Lakers were 37 of 67. So the Lakers dominated inside. The Warriors shot it pretty decent from outside, 39.6%. But the Lakers inside game dominated. Anthony Davis was a monster. He's the sole reason they won that game. There is no if and or buts about it. He was unfreaking believable. 30 points, 23 rebounds, only 19 shots, 4 blocks, probably altered 10 million shots. Like, he was unbelievable, man.
However many shots he made in the first quarter until he finally missed. He started out on fire as well. Just a great performance. And that is why I think, much like Kayla said, it's going to be a tough series. I think it's going to go down to the wires, assuming that everyone stays healthy. it's going to be a dogfight.
Yeah.
So that takes us to game 2.
Lee has a good comment here before we move on to game 2. He is right. The Lakers, by virtue of getting to the free throw line, of dominating inside, getting twos, shot 25 of 29 from the free throw line. And the Warriors shot 6 free throws total. Trevor and Lee are right.
How many shots though? Because I can feel where there a potential narrative that would come out of this, which is the Lakers got the whistle, right? However, you just broke down the metrics, the shooting metrics, and as you stated, the Lakers were in the paint much more often. So I would wonder, not having specifically watched the film with that in mind, I'm wondering how much of that is the Warriors' play style, not getting them opportunities to get to the line, whereas the Lakers are going at the rim. So naturally, you're going to shoot more free throws. If the other team if Golden State's not penetrating inside the 3-point line, they're just shooting threes. How many free throws do you expect to shoot that game? So maybe a little bit of an adjustment that Golden State needs to make there in their offensive approach as well.
I would agree. You can't get outshot that many times from the free throw line. It's not okay. Can't not happen.
Yeah, I still believe Steph Curry would get a decent whistle if he's attacking the rim, right? Like, and he, he obviously he's a veteran at this point, might not have the same fantastic finishes and teardrop floaters that we saw of his youth, but the guy can still get after it inside the arc as well. So yeah, get to not to mention one of the greatest free throw shooters of all time. So yeah, when you shoot as well from the line as this team, you got to get to the line. So yeah, it's definitely something to look at here in game 2. What do we have in the works right now? As Lee does bring up a good point. Listen, I won't sit here and say if that's a fact that's not a fact. All right, so
I don't know. I don't know, but I assume he's probably right.
Yeah, I trust him. I don't have that stat handy, but I trust Lee's never let us wrong in the chat before. Shout out to Lee and Trevor, all you guys in the chat. We appreciate you. But
okay,
what do we
Kev,
have?
I've got this graphic here. I'm gonna pull up for
here
you.
we go. Before we dive into the game 2 prediction, we have the epic LeBron graphic provided by Trevor in the chat. Thank you, sir.
It's gonna be
might be a good time for me to pitch the old Discord, where you can also share graphics that might make it onto the show. So I will add this link in a comment here in a second once Trevor pulls a graphic up here. Trevor, well, I'm all tongue-tied now. Once James pulls the graphic up. But join our Discord. Hang out with us in the chat. It's like this every single night, except that no microphones, more memes.
Oh, it's what in the heck? Give me a second. I got to add it in.
Not a problem.
I was trying to screen share it and it wasn't working, so I have to go the old school route. Here we go. Shouldn't take it. There we go. Here it is. Sorry, Kayla, we lost your face.
No worries.
Playoff. Trev sent this to us today. Playoff series records with LeBron, without. It's quite interesting. Quite interesting. The only person that is 500 or more without him is Dwayne Wade, who also won a title without him, who had Shaq.
Yeah, I was just about to say who had Shaq, so that's, not so bad. So yeah, that goes to Kayla's point, and I think a point we all agree on is as long as LeBron is in the playoffs, I'm not willing to root against or not willing to bet against him. I'm happy to root against him in times. But an interesting aspect to all of this, and I believe Draymond called it out in his podcast after the game, is that it's off-ball LeBron a lot. We're seeing a lot more. I saw an alley-oop to LeBron, which, that doesn't never happen anymore, but it's not nearly as prevalent as it was in those Dwayne Wade Miami days. So an interesting approach, and just the ability to continue to evolve your game at 20 years in. Most of the time what we see when guys are evolving their game, they're turning into shooters, right? They're pulling the Vince Carter. So like they're evolving to extend their career.
Ain't that.
But this is not that at all. This is something much different. So what are we looking at?
I think he went 1 for 8 from 3 last game. Like, God, his jumpers looked broken. Yeah, for him to be able to change his game and to stay relevant is a testament to his greatness. Like I won't ever take that away from him, man. He's been great. He's been great for a very long time. This
there
game
are still some concerns though with injuries, because I heard that Davis and him, they're both dealing with foot injuries right now.
Yep.
So they're probable for tonight's game. I haven't checked. Oh, it already started.
Just started.
I haven't checked if they're playing. I think they are though, probably.
Yeah, I see Anthony Davis. Yeah, they're both out there.
Yeah.
This
game
they
were
just started.
Listed as probable. So
9-7 is the score. Game just started. I'm gonna blow my computer up playing it live here, but let's do it. Streaming and playing live. Let's do it.
Ooh, there we go. Which might be a good time for me to mention that when we're not live on this very show, we might be live on Playback TV watching the NBA playoffs. So right now,
shameless plug.
We tune in as often as we can. There isn't really a schedule. It's the NBA schedule compared to when we have shows going. So you want to hang out, watch some NBA playoffs, check us out on Playback TV. So 12-11 is the score that I have. 6.5 minutes into the first. Kayla, I'm going to start with you. The Warriors at home. What was it? 33-8 was their regular season home record. Not quite as flawless as of late.
2 in a row on the home court now, if you count the Kings series.
With that in mind, who do you have, Kayla? Lakers or Warriors here in game 2?
You know what? Tonight I'm going to take the Warriors. I bet that Curry gave a pretty motivational speech. So I'm counting on them to carry him over. Because even going back to game 7 of the Kings, right? I honestly thought that the Kings were going to win. But then Curry gave that speech, dropped 50-something points, and then that was it.
Yep, that was going to be my joke. You were talking about the motivational speech. It's like he might have to drop another motivational 50-piece too, but
I bet that he did.
I wouldn't be surprised if he gets close to it again tonight. But James, what about you? Do you have the same confidence in the hometown Warriors?
I do. I think the Warriors are going to win this series, so they better win tonight. They better not go back to LA down 2-0. I think they'll win. They got the whites on. They got the normal court back. Oh, wow. LeBron's out here hitting threes, though. That's not good for my statement. I'm a firm believer in Golden State this whole series, so I'm going to take them tonight for sure.
Actually, an early LeBron 3 could be fool's gold, though, which it could play into the Warriors' favor because he could feel that shot later and continue to shoot it even after he's not making it. So this, folks at home, is what I like to call a bobblehead segment, because I am going to agree with these two and say, yes, Warriors, there's no way. Although this would be the series where the Warriors go down 0-2 and then somehow win both games in LA. This would just be that series because it's been that playoffs. But give me the Warriors. It's probably the kiss of death, the bounce curse. We all pick the Warriors, so slam Lakers, guys, if you're betting. But
just don't be like the Alabama baseball coach.
Oh, there we go. We got some thoughts here first. Before we move on, Lee says Thompson has to get hot for the Warriors to win. That certainly wouldn't hurt. Any thoughts on that, Kayla?
I think it's going to be a big factor, definitely. I think also Looney is going to be crucial in this, especially with how he's been so far on the boards. I read a stat that he's had so far like 4 games in the playoffs with at least 20 rebounds, which is just insane. So controlling the glass, especially with right at 4 or 5 now. So especially against like Davis, who is having a great postseason so far, that's going to be crucial. But yeah, Klay Thompson getting hot, huge, especially because Curry needs that support, right?
Absolutely. James, what about you? Outside of Thompson, is there any other? I like Looney is a good one, Kayla, because those rebounds, that's huge this time of year. Any other candidates for you, in your opinion, James? Do you expect a Jordan Poole redemption game by chance?
Oh, I could see a Jordan Poole redemption game. I'm watching. What I really want to know is how they're going to guard Anthony Davis. Are they going to let him just dominate him in the paint again? You know, if that's the case, they're going to lose a lot. I don't.
That's interesting.
Steve Kerr is not Mike Budenholzer. He'll make an adjustment. We'll get to that. Very curious how they're going to guard him tonight. That's what I'm very, very curious. That's what I'm.
Do you have a suggestion? Like we can think through this one real quick. What do we have roster wise? I mean, is there any sort of zone principle you might apply here, James, to try to shake this up? I mean, the Lakers finally, after a year and a half, have some shooters, so you can't get too lazy on the outside. You can ask Memphis about that.
Speaking of, LeBron's 2 for 2, so there you go.
Look out.
Boy.
One of two things is about to happen.
Yeah, I know. It's I just don't know if they have anybody. So they went with they started JaMychal Green tonight. So I wonder if he's guarding Anthony Davis.
Maybe that's the secret sauce right there.
They're coming out of the timeout right now, so I'm going to see here. He might be guarding him. So there's your change. I was like, who on that? Because Wiseman's long. I don't know who the heck they could put on him. I was like, are they going to put Draymond Green on him? Yeah, I almost guarantee it's JaMychal Green playing him.
For all the praise we give Looney, I don't think that Looney's the one to guard Davis one-on-one and say, okay, we're good here. I think that's going to be a nice 30.
Warriors are on offense, so I can't give an answer here.
Well, no worries. We'll take a look at it and maybe see what the Warriors decide to employ. But it looks like you're getting a little.
Well, now it's Draymond Green is guarding him.
I imagine we'll see a healthy bit of that, right? Yeah. Draymond is still Draymond, and he definitely, I think at least will command it a couple of times, right? Coming out of huddles, be like, I got this. I'm going to take Davis. And at the very least, he could be the right guy for helping to coordinate who's going to come double, who's going to like a good position, a good guy to have kind of quarterbacking the defense in this situation. You're right.
Flying to him in the paint, man.
Yeah, physically they don't have the bodies to do it. So they're probably going to do a little bit of what we saw the Lakers doing to Steph at the end of game 1, where, like you said, they're just probably going to blitz and take chances on Jordan Poole being the one they leave open. And
Clay had back-to-back 2s for the Warriors. So Lee's calling out Clay is working out so far. That was a corner 3. So he's got 5 back-to-back there. So maybe we're getting the Clay game a little early for that. Usually doesn't happen. It's usually game 5 or 6.
That's right. It is a little early, but hey, sometimes you
never know.
That's
it's the revenge game. They're motivated right now, right?
They are. Yeah, 100%. They're motivated right now.
Yep, we're gonna get one of these. We're gonna get one of those soon.
Right? The 4 rings. Yep.
Yep.
It's almost gonna be like the Sixers Celtics game.
Oh.
Yeah.
Right? That comeback.
Wow.
Oh my.
A little bit of anger there.
Yeah. Revenge games. Good Lord.
Yeah, should we? Do we want to talk about that one next? We need to move on to another series. So you want to? That's a nice little segue there to the Celtics Sixers series. Well, Kayla, I'll let you start. What are your takeaways from that one?
Well, you know what? First, I gotta say, I was kind of on the fence, debating about who was gonna win this series. It was just because Embiid was out. Right? Like, I know his injury with his knee typically takes about 4 to 6 weeks to recover from. And it's only been 2 weeks for him so far. And he already played game 2. But you know what? I'm leaning towards the Celtics. Celtics in 6. That's my prediction right now. But I don't know. What do you guys think?
I like it. I'll jump in here and say that I made a comment earlier about the wildness of these playoffs. If you had told me that Embiid's going to play one game and not the other game, and that, the Sixers are going to have no problem in the game that Embiid doesn't play, and in the game that he does play, it's just going to be a disaster. I would have thought you were lying. So I'm very surprised by how we got here to this situation. But looking at what we have, I was Bucks Nuggets all year. Like, this is what we're gonna get. You know, these are the two best teams. I had my little fantasy booking of, okay, the Clippers could be right place, right time. They're really deep. You know, that didn't work out for me. Neither did the Bucks. So the Celtics for me were always 1A right there behind the Bucks. That's if the Bucks don't do it, the Celtics were the favorites. So then they come in with an injured Embiid. And, you know, no disrespect to the Heat or the Knicks, who we'll talk about later, but it started to feel like, wow, things are kind of lining up for Boston here. And then they go and lose game 1. And I was ready to throw the baby out with the bathwater, so to speak. And then now here we are and we're back. And I have to say, I'm going to stay steady, although Boston, their offense or lack thereof at times, I think they still get 2-star dependent in situations. James, you know how much I hate that. Call a play, get some bodies in motion. We too many times we get guys standing around watching, but give me the Celtics in 7 for now. James, what about you? Are you going to have faith in the Sixers? Someone has to do our boy Justin Herbert some service.
Justin Herbert's going to see this and be real upset.
Be real mad. He's a Sixers fan.
I don't know if I can. I'm confused. Again, another series I'm confused by. They win game 1 without Embiid. Got a vintage Harden game, 45 points, 17-30, 17-14 from downtown, 6 assists. He was unbelievable. And then game 2 happened. And the whole thing, all of game 2 confuses me. The Celtics massacre them. Big third quarter ends the game, but if you just in a vacuum look at the stats, it's like, what happened? Tatum had 7 points.
Right? That was crazy.
I'm confused. Their second leading scorers, Malcolm Brogdon, Jaylen Brown had a good game. Smart, White. I don't. Kev, I don't even know what to do right now. I don't know what to do with my hands. I'm scared. I think I have to go with the Celtics, but I'm just like, I don't know. It all comes down to Joel Embiid, and he did not look great. He didn't look
just 15 normal. Points, I believe.
Yep.
5 blocks, which was pretty good.
Yeah, 15. You actually nailed it. 15 points, flat blocks. Yeah, he put 4 for 9 from the field. He wasn't great, and if he's not going to be great, they aren't winning that series.
Oh yeah.
You know what else scared me about that? And I had a little fun. One of my favorite things to do on Twitter is just to post a clip without adding context and let people fight each other over what I'm trying to say. So I saw the whole Embiid, I think it was like a 1-9 against the Celtics in the playoffs. And I just took that little clip of him flopping against Grant Williams and just threw it up there. Just let and my whole thing with that is just, when you're hurt the way that he is, I'm not doubting at all the validity of his injury. Stop hitting the ground, my guy.
He goes down a lot too.
That is not worth it. That extra touch foul, that on the floor foul at the top of the key is not worth you going out for another week. It's so frustrating to me to see him do that.
He's consistently hurt too. And that's going to be Harden's best game of the whole series. He's not built like that anymore. He hit a monster 3 towards the end of the game. Kev, what do you think of the sequence at the end of the game where the Celtics thought they had a shot clock violation and they passed it out, and Tyrese Maxey stole it and also thought like it might have been a shot clock violation, but took it anyway? And right before he's about to lay up, he looks like he's about to travel. Like, what are your thoughts on the whole sequence?
Needed the this is an old reference even for me, but it needed that yakety sax, that that Benny Hill music. What is going on? It reminded me, it gave me flashbacks too, James, of Mark Cuban and the boys not knowing what end of the court it was time to defend. It kind of gave me flashes of like,
that's a throwback.
I was the LeBron meme and the screen was J.R. Smith, where I'm just like, what are we doing here? It reminded me of going to watch my little brother's middle school games, where it's a little bit of a talent discrepancy there. But you mentioned Harden, as great as he was in game 1, game 2, 32 minutes, 2 of 14 from the field, 0 of 6 from 3, still hit 8 of 10 free throws, 10 rebounds, 9 on defense. only 4 assists. Here's the big one. -21 was the plus minus. So now granted, everyone who started was in the negative for the Sixers, but it just felt that whatever magic Harden had in game 1, it had evaporated for game 2. So that goes to your point, James, that he may not be able to string them together the way that he used to. And I think without Embiid, it's gonna have to. I mean, who is it going to be that steps up? Obviously, Maxey is great, one of my favorite young players in the league. But is it? I almost feel mean. Even like, is it going to be Tobias Harris? Like, are we going to get the? I feel like we've been waiting for that for years. Right?
5 years.
I think
so.
I personally had much higher expectations for what Tobias Harris was going to be when he got to Philadelphia, and he just hasn't. For whatever reason, it hasn't materialized.
Lee's got a few comments on it too.
Yeah, let's hear it.
I would agree with this. If he's not 80% healthy, they aren't getting past the Celtics. I agree with that. And he throws a little wild one out here. Devin White. Is it Devin? Is that his first name, Devin?
Derek.
Devin White's a football player, I think. I might be making that up. Who knows?
Great linebacker.
Derek White is the key to them winning, he says. Which is an interesting
I love that.
take. It's a very interesting take and not something I hate.
He was given, rightfully so, a lot of credit for their playoff run last year as one of the that was one of those retroactively people like this was sneakily one of the best trade deadline moves when they picked him up. And yeah, he is a difference maker. And that's where they have a couple of those guys that whether, when Brogdon's healthy, that's what made him a difference maker as well, because they had other guys coming into the rotation who would look to score. They do that 3-man weave sometimes, and they had too many players that were looking to pass to Brown or Tatum, and you knew it. And so then you get Brogdon in the mix, and everybody's expecting him to pass. The next thing you know, he's got 3 gimme layups because you're not used to the guy in that position even trying a layup. So they have guys like White can really be a game changer because he can get you a sneaky 22, 24 points within the flow of the game, while Tatum and Brown still have their nights. And if they're doing
15 on 9 points, 3 of 6 from 3, man, that's pretty good. That's what you need.
Yeah, overall, their depth is just amazing. I always thought that, like, this whole season, they've had one of the best benches in the NBA. I've also really liked the Clippers too, but I'm going to hold... Somebody else
in this group likes the Clippers too a lot. It is not.
Yeah. I mean, they have great depth. They're
quotations
out,
here. These are quotations in... Let's see, the most depth in the NBA.
They had when healthy, they had the most depth. They were the deepest team until Milwaukee got healthy, and then Milwaukee was a little deeper because then you had Ingles and Middleton and Connaughton back. But I mean, come on, man, Eric Gordon, they Bones Highland and I mean, they had Powell there. They went and shored up the one weakness. They added some depth. I can't remember who the center was that they grabbed to give some. They were so deep, man. If only those 2 guys who are so vital could just stay healthy. It's what might be the greatest what if of our current NBA generation.
Yes.
If those 2 can never get one healthy season together. So with that, I think, did you get your final Celtics prediction in, James? I like them if you didn't.
I like them in 6. I actually like them to take the next 3. Or that would be 5. I like them in 6. I think a
gentleman sweep.
You're right. Which for the longest time I didn't even know what that was. I like them in 6. I think they'll go to Philly. They'll either split or take them both. And I don't trust the 76ers team. You just don't know how healthy Embiid is, and he's so important. And that's just the key right there.
When I was a kid, I thought a gentleman's sweep was when the other team let the Cubs win 3 games in a row. But that is for another show. Kayla, let me ask you, you are our guest. We have 2 more series to talk about. Would you rather talk about the Eastern Conference or the Western Conference? We got Nuggets, Suns, or Heat and New York?
I'm going to take Nuggets, Suns.
Right.
Yes. I feel like this is definitely one of the most interesting series so far, just because I did not expect the Nuggets to already be up 2-0, which is insane. Because, like, if you look at it on paper, the Suns are. Did you
James
predict
did.
it?
James.
Oh, I love.
No way.
I love the Sun. Or I love.
While I
Nuggets.
was scheming ways the Clippers could make it, he's just been beating the "it's going to be Denver" drum. I was like, yeah,
all year.
it's gonna be Denver, but it could be Clippers. It could no, and he's like, it's going to be Denver. He talked himself into
every other team.
Yeah, I talk myself into a lot of stuff. I blame it on Trevor because that's how we build fantasy lineups. You got to build a narrative. You're doing great work. I haven't learned how to copy your formula there, Trev.
Yeah, so sorry to interrupt, Kayla. Sorry.
No worries. You know, I'm surprised because I was always going back and forth between the Suns and Nuggets, just because, like, on paper, the Suns are stacked, right? Especially since they acquired Durant. But I think that this series has really exposed their lack of depth and defense. I think that's the biggest thing so far.
You know who else it's exposed? DeAndre Ayton. Or at least in the last game, or at least on one pretty bad clip.
Oh my God. When I saw that clip, I didn't watch the game, but when I saw the clip like all over Instagram and Twitter, I was speechless. Like, you're just watching Jokic and Durant battle for a rebound under your basket, and you're just standing there looking pretty.
And not even in bounds, by the way. Not even couldn't help if on accident from the position you're standing in.
No. You gotta follow through with the play. Like, he did a good job at challenging his opponent up until the basket, but then after that, like, the play isn't done yet until you have the ball back in your hands. Like, that isn't permission to just watch from the baseline. You can't.
Especially when you're about a max guy, right? I don't know if it was technically a max, but I know it was a really big contract, and I know that
because you guys
because I had a little skin in the game. Yeah, because the Pacers signed him. One of my favorite Pacers of all time, DeAndre Ayton. Still got that jersey coming. I ordered it from overseas. It'll take a while, but yeah, you need him right now to be that third star right now. We've always saying it's a big four, but Chris Paul's been hurt, so you need Ayton to be that guy that he got the contract to be. And this kind of goes back to James. We've been talking about this since the beginning of this show. Back when, what was going on with Monty and DeAndre Ayton last year during the playoffs. And I'm not going to put words in anyone's mouths, but when I see plays like that, I start to wonder if some of their issues are involved with the coach's assessment of the player's effort. And some of that could be, hey, listen, James, correct me if I'm wrong, Kayla, as well. I have been a point guard before, and I know that if you don't feed the big man, you can have a pretty grumpy big man who all of a sudden doesn't want to give as much effort. Our coach, it was instilled in me. I say it on this show. I say it on Playback TV all the time. You got to get your big guy 2 to 3 touches a quarter at least. I don't care if it's just clear out and feed them in the post. I don't care if it's not a good look. You have to keep them involved. They get bored. It's like playing right field in Little League. If you're not involved, it can be easy for those guys to get.
I played there.
And it really shouldn't be, right? It really shouldn't be that way. And I know he's a max guy, but I'm just calling what I'm seeing. And I wonder if that is part of the issue here. With that being said, James, we haven't heard your input on this series yet so far. So obviously we kind of know where you're gonna fall.
You already know, man.
How many games will it take then?
It's always been the Nuggets. I think it's Nuggets in 5. I don't think this goes very long. It's a stylistic thing. That's and Lee's got a good point there. They have no depth. Chris Paul's hurt, and even when Chris Paul's not hurt, he's a shell of himself. He's not what he used to be. He just doesn't look the same anymore. They're so reliant on Kevin Durant and Devin Booker that they can just let him go off. They have. I mean, Devin Booker had 35 in game 2. Durant had 24, so they had 59. They had 87 total points. That's it. Game 1, 29, 27, 56 of their 107. They do not have any depth anywhere else. The Nuggets are running 2 guys at him each time. They're taking long, tough mid-ranges. I mean, it's what they do. They're the mid-range kings. They take the most of them in the playoff of any team in the playoffs. It does. This is where me and you differ so much. I hate it. I'm a 3-and-D guy. I love the analytics side of it.
I watched too much Tracy McGrady growing up.
They zapped themselves quite a bit of depth when they traded for Durant and Kate. It was with CP3 just being a shell of himself. It's man, it sucks. I wish we'd have got the CP3 from a few years ago with this group. But I don't hate the idea of force feeding into Ayton. Like, I don't. He was game 1. He's 14-7 on 11 shots. Game 2, 14-8 on 10 shots. At least if you're throwing it into him, the Joker's got to guard him. He's got to do something, And one of the biggest problems is
energy.
Monty Williams. Nobody's going to say he's a big pick and roll guy. And I don't think he's an elite offensive mind. I really don't. And that's hurting them right now. I don't hate the idea of throwing into Ayton. At least it's something different. Somebody else has got to score. Like, he's your third, even with CP3 healthy, he's your third best player. He can't just have 14 points. He's shooting efficiently. 7 for 11, I think 7 for 11, 7 for 10. You got to do it, and
just do it.
Just do it. Just do it.
So, we know it's going to be the Nuggets. How many, what do you think, Nuggets? You going to give the Suns a chance to win 2 games here?
Me?
Yeah, you.
Oh, I think.
Oh, yeah. You're the only one who I know is picking the Nuggets no matter what. So I figured I wouldn't even.
It could be 3-0, and
why be dishonest to the audience here?
It's the Nuggets. I think it's 5. I think they'll split in Phoenix. Phoenix might get this next one, and then I think they'll go home and Nuggets will end it. Nate's good. Nate's got a good point there. The depth is an issue. Like, they don't have – the thing with the Nuggets is they built this team a lot through the draft, trading for guys like Aaron Gordon. They've got one superstar and a lot of really, really good players, and they can throw so many different guys at you, and so many guys can score. Jamal Murray had 34 in game 1. I think he had 10 in game 2. Gordon has 16 in game 2. He had 23 in game 1. Michael Porter Jr. hasn't. He's at 11-5. Kentavious Caldwell-Pope, 14-10. Bruce Brown has got 14-9. Like, it's just they've got so much better depth, bigger wing guys they can throw out at Booker and Durant. Yeah. The Nuggets are built for this. Like, I know people want to talk about that last month of the season where they were 500-ish. Don't forget the part where they were so good for all of the season that they coasted to the 1 seed. They didn't have any. Nobody even came close.
Yeah, and it's easy to lighten up or loosen up a little bit at the end of the regular season, and then but obviously once those playoffs start, you don't have to worry about that anymore. The coasting is over. So I like the other half of Nate's comment here. It's a question: is this the end of super teams or what? Let's ask Kayla first. I will hold my thoughts on this one for a second. Kayla, what do you think?
You know what? I don't know. I don't really have much of an answer to this. I think it's tough to say. You're always going to have super teams, your big 3. But I think with the Suns, it really exposed how crucial depth is, right? Because I think the series between the Suns and Nuggets has really highlighted how Denver can afford to have one of their players have an off night, right? Game 2, Murray had 10 points. And Porter had, I think, 5, I want to say.
5, yep. Yeah, 5.
Right? And then Jokic went off for 40 plus, right? And they were still able to win by 10 points, right? Yeah, you have Durant, Booker, Paul. I'm even going to throw Aiden in there. But without depth, what are you going to do? You can't have these players going for 48 minutes, right?
Yeah.
It's almost like with the Raptors, right? I'm a Raptors fan, so I have to bring that in here. But, like, last season, this season, you saw how Nick Nurse was having Van Vliet, Siakam, even Barnes playing close to 48 minutes a game. I was looking at the stats. It was those 3 players who were averaging the most minutes in the league. They were the top 3. And look what happened. Injuries after injuries, especially with Van Vliet. It's not sustainable. And you just need that depth. You need it.
Paging Tom Thibodeau.
Dude, I was thinking the same exact thing.
I was over here. I'm just like, everybody in the audience knows exactly my take on this. I couldn't hit the retweet button fast enough.
Kayla, you bring up a fantastic point. KD played 44 minutes in game 2, Booker 45. Game 1, Booker 40, KD 36. Like,
it's insane.
It's insane. It's correct. Yes.
That's exactly why they're injury prone, right? Like Durant played like it felt like a game this season. Right? Just injury after injury, especially in the playoffs now. I'm just waiting for something to happen.
It's sad, but you're right. And me and Kevin talked about this previously on the show about how even when they traded for him, he was hurt. They played very few games with a full lineup. 8 games
together, but they were 8-0. I'll give them that, but still.
I said then I still think it. Like, I don't think you'll see peak Suns this year because of the amount of time they didn't get together. And now it's looking like they've got no depth. They sacrificed all their depth. They don't have any defense. Their starting point guard he's also hurt. Chris Paul is hurt and questionable for the next 2 games too.
Shocker.
Stunning development at this point in his career, which is sad. Like, when you have him, he's just a shell. He's not what he used to be. It's tough. Like, they're gonna have to do some work on this roster in the offseason. Like, they're gonna have to. I don't know what they can do. They're gonna have to make some fixes. Back to Nate's point, do I think this is the end of super teams? Absolutely not. Because these guys are always going to want to play together and teams are going to do it. Look at the Clippers traded for him. These guys, like, the question is, how much are these guys going to be willing to give up? Because if you got your roster to get them, you get rid of your depth, you get rid of your young players, your defense, obviously there's a price to be had for Kevin Durant and guys like Kawhi and Paul George, but what's the number? What are you willing to give up,
Yeah, and I think the trade-off, because I agree with you, James. I don't think super teams go away. And what we have seen an abundance of in the last couple of years is NBA veterans almost getting forced into retirement at an earlier age because they are more expensive. And so you see as these rotations get shorter, it just makes more sense to pay a younger, really unknown entity instead of having a veteran. So I think what we're going to continue to see is these kind of behind the scenes over the summer built, I'll talk to you, your agent talks to my agent, we'll get these trades made. And then every trade deadline, I think, is just going to continue to be insane. And then we'll have to watch the buyout markets, because that's the only way these veterans can get added, it feels like, is on a minimum exception, through their bird rights. That's when teams can go over the cap to add them. So that's why you're seeing, I about fainted when I saw that LaMarcus Aldridge was working out for the Mavericks in February. Like, what is going on? Like, out of nowhere, he comes out.
Yeah.
I think that's what we're going to be looking. We're going to see a lot more guys playing overseas, and you're like, holy crap, I did not expect that guy to be playing overseas now. And then, yeah, exactly. Yeah. Dwight Howard. There are some other guys where it's just like, wow, I didn't expect you to be out of the league this quickly. So I do think the super teams will continue. I think I do think, how to counterpoint that, I do think we are going to continue to see teams trying to build them a little more naturally, trying to do what the Nuggets have done, to look at my own Indiana Pacers in the way that they traded one all-star, they traded Paul George for 2 all-stars and then had to get rid of both of those guys. Thank God they dodged the Oladipo bullet. But so now you see them, it's a mix of, we made one big trade. We got Mathurin in the draft. You finally re-signed Miles Turner. So it's a mix of, like, that might not be a super team. And honestly, this isn't a team that contends for championships a lot. So maybe they're not the best example, but I do think we are getting a little bit more of a balance. I don't think every team in this league has the ability to do what the Suns have done or what the Clippers have done. And those teams are watching what the Kings have done, what the Pacers have done, what the Nuggets have done, what the Pacers are trying to do. I shouldn't give them any credit yet, but they're looking at these other ways and saying, well, this is how we could build one on our own. And so I think it's going to be a lot of fun to watch. Udonis. I love a good Udonis Haslem.
Haslem played this year, like within like the first 5 games he played. Like,
And he put on a show at his retirement party. What did he score? Like 24 points in retirement?
Yeah. He's a wild, man. The dude's wild. Good for him, though. Good
wonder
for
if
him.
they gave him the Utah Kobe treatment where it was like, yeah, just go ahead and.
Oh, well, if he'd went out and had like
shoot.
70, just every shot, every time he touched the ball, it was so much fun.
So before we move on to the final, I just wanted to check in because we have a close one. My computer shows me a tied game in Golden State right now, 40-40 in the second quarter. So we will check in before we go. I think that's probably how we'll wrap things up. Check back in on the Lakers Golden State game, but we have one more series to cover, and this one really brings a smile to my nostalgic heart because it reminds me of Jeff Van Gundy and Alonzo Mourning and the old Heat Knicks rivalries of the 90s and maybe 2000s. I can't remember the exact time, but yeah, this one's a throwback. And the style of the teams kind of match that throwback mentality too. We got a couple of aggressive, hard-nosed teams here. So Heat versus Knicks. We'll start with you, James. What is your take on this series to start?
My take is that the Heat let Game 2 get away, and it could haunt them. They played Game 2 without Jimmy Butler and led late in that game and had a bad series. It was like a 6-point swing on a miss. I can't remember, it was offensive rebound 3 something, and it swung the game back to the Knicks. Jimmy Butler's hurt. He missed that game too. You don't know how bad his ankle is. I'm worried they're gonna be really kicking themselves for letting this game get away. The game that I don't think anybody thought they were going to be in anyway when it got announced he was out.
Right. That's why it's such an interesting take. It's like, oh yeah, the game they weren't supposed to win, but then when they got so close, it's like they're really going to regret it. Kayla, what do you think? Do you agree? Do you have other thoughts about the series so far?
Well, first, I just wanted to say I definitely did not expect this matchup.
No.
I don't know what to say about it. It feels like a fever dream every time I think of like the Bucks losing to the 8-seeded Heat. Like I still can't get over that.
Himmy Butler, playoff Jimmy.
Yeah, playoff Jimmy. And even like the Knicks too. Like I was really rooting on the Cavs in 7. That was my original prediction.
I was all over the Cavs too.
Right? I think most people were too.
I remember that, Kayla, in our first interaction when we were talking about that. I think we both agreed that the one series we thought was a lock to go 7. And James, you and I said it on the show too. This is going to be the best series of the first round. Cavs Knicks, lock it in, best matchup. And no, not at all. Not the way it worked out. Almost as shocking. The only reason the Heat Bucks is more shocking is because it's an 8-1. Because I think honestly, a lot of people, when you asked them, I know me, that was my answer. Like, hey, what's a team to keep? What's a lower seed to keep an eye on? It's like, well, it's always the Heat, right? It's that Heat culture. It's playoff Jimmy buckets. It's the this is the Bam Adebayo we've been waiting for all season. He'll come out every once in a while. So, man, they're so deadly. But sorry, Kayla. Yeah, back to you. What are your thoughts on the series that we did get somehow?
Well, so far, I think the biggest storyline has just been injuries. Right? For the Heat, you got Oladipo, Hero, out. Jimmy Butler, your pretty much main offensive option. Martin and Vincent done pretty good job so far, carrying the offensive load. As we've seen, like Butler was out game 2, and they still kept it pretty close. I think it was within 6 points, if I'm not mistaken, which was pretty impressive considering Randall was back. They have Brunson, who's been doing amazing this series and throughout the whole playoffs. Barrett's really stepped up and been doing great.
He's had a heck of a playoffs. He's very, very not talked about. You're absolutely right.
And it's funny because like Randall, I think he was averaging like 14, 15 points in the first round too, before he re-aggravated his ankle injury, right? Which is crazy. But I think his first game back, he got about 25 points in game 2, which was actually really good. But it's just funny how they only won by like just a couple of points, right? With Jimmy Butler out. Kind of concerning.
Yep.
It was, especially I saw the clips. It was just from the game. It was Jimmy Butler in his regular old street clothes, standing up courtside, but he had that look and he just kept nodding his head like this. And the quote on the tweet said, "Oh yeah, he's playing Saturday." They're like, or whatever. They're like, "Yeah, he's playing next. He's playing game 3. There's no way he's missing."
But like, I heard that his ankle was the size of like a baseball. I heard a report about that. I can't remember where I saw it, but
he looked really bad in the last couple minutes of game 1.
Yeah.
Like he was just kind of there. That was it.
And those are brutal too, because it's maybe not in every sport, but for basketball, especially with all that lateral movement, all that planting. And when you're a guy like Jimmy who does, hang his hat a little bit on the defensive end and can have you can't have the same impact. It's one thing when you know which way you're going and you have a bum ankle. It's a completely other thing when you have to read and react, and then muscle memory causes you to put your leg in a position it's normally fine with, but you forgot, oh, I'm actually hurt. And now I'm crumpled up in a pile on the floor, and they're going to have to pull me, and I'm going to have to sit on this for a few more days because I just sprained it again. I just made it worse. So it's so difficult. Ankles, I mean, listen, just ask Grant Hill about it. It can a nagging ankle can end a career, or at least, completely change its trajectory. These kind of things. So obviously it could change the way this series plays out. So,
well, just look at Julius Randle. He was missing time too there. We both thought when we were talking Cavs Knicks that he wasn't going to be at the start of that series. We were both wrong. He also missed a game too. Like you just don't know, man. Ankles are weird and annoying. As somebody that's got a bad one, they suck.
Yeah, right.
And I'm not an elite athlete. It just sucks to have it.
Yeah, exactly.
Which, shout out Julius Randle in game 2, 25, 12, and 8. Just mad, man. So
absolutely. Good. Yeah, absolutely earning it. With that in mind, James, what's your prediction for the Knicks and the Heat here?
Okay, I'm scared. I'm scared. I'm gonna stick with the Heat. I think in 6, it could be 7. Like I'm gonna bank on playoff Jimmy coming back. Like somehow, some way, he's gonna find his way back. Man, I'm nervous though. Like this series is just gonna be a bloodbath. This is 2 tough, defensive-minded teams that are just mean. Like this series is tough.
Almost as tough as you are.
I did, Trev. I did just run a 15K. Like it was not. I guarantee these guys could outrun me.
The only one I'm outrunning is Tibbs.
And he don't. He just runs you into the ground, not the rest.
Yeah,
of them,
exactly.
Not himself.
Yeah. I got the kind of knee that you would think I played for Tibbs for 15 years, but no, it's just that's just bad genetics, I guess. But give me the Knicks. Give me the Knicks in 6, I will say. Trevor says 7. I believe Nate said Knicks in 6 as well. Kayla, what was your did you make a final prediction?
I haven't, but I am agreeing with you for now, Kevin. I have to say, Knicks probably in 6, maybe 7, just because Jimmy Butler's availability and also how well he'll be able to play on an ankle like that. It's a little bit concerning.
I agree.
Yeah.
But then again, we can't count out Jimmy Butler, right? I mean, who knows with this guy? I'm not going to say anything. I mean, they upset the Bucks, so at this point, what do I know about this series? I already counted out the Knicks before, so I guess I shouldn't do that again. But
I like it. We do have one Heat in 7 in here. And so we're going to have, before we get into the current game, I want to check out chat here. We did get a Justin Herbert sighting. So we
Justin Herbert is alive. He's alive.
So sorry, brother, you missed our analysis of the series. Watch it. Fair warning, I guess, going in.
It's not good for you, but
I'm rooting for you. I'm rooting for you. I'm just calling the weather. That's all I'm doing. But we've got some fun questions in here. I want to thank you, those of you in the chat who have contributed. You always make the show so much more fun. And we are live on all 3 platforms right now. So we got Facebook, Twitch, and YouTube. We appreciate all of you. Nate, thank you. This actually, it's not a starter-esque. This is a hat from the 90s. I kept all of my childhood snapbacks in a tub. And so hit me up if you are in the market for a vintage snapback. But no, they ain't cheap. Anyway, so we had the news of the Bucks firing their coach, which we talked about a little bit on the front end, but a lot of guys have joined us since. And so we're all a bit shocked here. But so this may be another bobblehead segment, folks, but I'll go ahead and start with James. James, what's your take here on Budenholzer getting fired?
Oh, man.
Exactly. Retweet.
I got his stats in front of me. So I'm going to read his 5 years in Milwaukee to really preface this. 60-22, 56-17, 46-26 the year they won the title, 51-31, 58-24, never under a 622 winning percentage. What do I think about it? Ooh. What I will say is someone that worked in college basketball, the business is absolutely ruthless. It's absolutely ruthless. One of my best friends lives in Milwaukee, sent me a text today. And I think it says, I think he's right on this. He's like, I guess wasting a year of Giannis's prime is fireable. And I'm like, you know what? When you look at it like that, because a team like Milwaukee Giannis could go down as the best player to ever play for him. He wants to be there. We all agree he got out-coached.
Yep.
You factor in what happened, his brother passed away. It all makes sense. Doesn't change the facts that an 8 seed beat a 1 seed, and pretty handily. It looked like the Heat were the better team the whole series. I hate it for him, but he got out coached by Spoelstra, and those professional leagues, they are ruthless. It's tough. Like, it sucks, but good thing for him is that record's going to get him another shot. He's going to be a head coach again, and probably sooner rather than later.
Yeah, I would agree with that. Yeah, Kayla, do you have any thoughts on the Bucks firing of Budenholzer?
Honestly, kind of just the same thing that James said. Definitely unexpected. I mean, he did get out-coached, right? But, I mean, they won a title just 2 years ago, right? It seems a little soon to kind of throw him off. But I'm more just curious as to who will replace him, right? I thought I saw a comment here saying Nick Nurse.
Yep.
Which I thought was interesting, right?
I think if I am them, that's who I want. I would, and Kayla, I guess you're going to have a very specific take on this as a Raptors fan, as somebody that I don't watch a ton of Raptors basketball, and I said they should have blew it up. Me and Kev were both on that train. Them in Chicago, both.
They should have just committed to a direction. All right.
Yeah,
the Bucks doing nothing. The Nets
are,
doing nothing is not a reason for you to do nothing and think you're going to make the playoffs.
They are literally the Tennessee Titans of the NBA.
Commit.
Yes, commit. I would think Nick Nurse would be fantastic there. Kayla, as somebody that lived the Nick Nurse era up there, what do you think?
Honestly, I think that he would be a good fit. I think it would work out. I really liked Nick Nurse back in 2019 when they made that finals run. Over time, though, I didn't support him as much, especially with all the changes with the lineups and stuff and how they're very forward dominated. The other day I was looking at their roster and they have like 2 guards and then everything else is forwards.
Yep.
Yeah. And then it's like 1 or 2 centers. And I was like, yeah, this isn't going to work. So I was kind of happy when they fired him. I appreciate everything he's done for us, of course. I mean, like the first championship in history, right? That was huge, but I think just his time is done. And I think it'd be interesting to see him with the Bucks. Definitely. Yep. I wouldn't be surprised if that's where he lands.
Yep. I think that'd be interesting. The Raptors haven't hired a coach yet, right?
And not yet, no.
Yeah, I didn't think so. Yep. I think he'd be great. Kev, do you have any comments, thoughts on it? Who you'd like to see there?
Yeah, Nick Nurse is interesting to me. I liked Kayla's comment about the forwards because that was one of the things I used to always have a little joke with myself that Toronto was like the NBA's Syracuse. It was like, yeah, we're going to fill our team with 6'8", athletic 6'8" wings. That's what we're going to do. We're just gonna have a bunch of these guys that are like hybrids that can, a bunch of forwards. So what did Nate say? Scott Skiles' return. I like it. Well, you know what? I've seen a couple of names up here. I see the Becky Hammonds one. I like that.
Interviewed somewhere.
Yeah, where did she interview?
I know we talked about it.
It wasn't Milwaukee because it happened already.
Houston, maybe.
It might have been Houston. I know they were interviewing a few.
Yeah, she definitely did. I just don't remember which one.
What about Nate says it was Toronto.
Was it? I don't know.
I think she did go in for an interview too.
Okay.
Toronto.
Yeah, that's what sounds familiar. I like this one that Justin throws out. Now, I haven't been tracking Sam Cassell as actively as far as his assistant coaching journey, but for those of you that remember, he had a stint with the Bucks with Ray Allen in his career. I mean, Sam, it might be easier to name the team Sam Cassell didn't play for, but yeah, he had a little run with the Bucks, and it was nice. And I've said this on the show plenty of times too. I love my former point guard head coaches. I think especially the backup point guard is the closest thing to a coach on the floor that I think outside of maybe the quarterback in football that you get in sports, because not only because the starting point guard usually has some great athleticism and some offensive talent to go along with them, whereas usually a backup point guard is someone who has a decent amount of ball handling skill, but they're there to run the offense, to get things moving. A lot of times, unless you have a Lou Williams type guy coming off the bench who's 6'2" and just can light it up, your backup point guard isn't coming in to fill it up for you. So they're there to know where everybody else needs to be. They're there to run the offense, call the plays. Those guys make great coaches, in my humble opinion. So I like that Sam Cassell. Without having a chance to really look at the other candidates, give me Sam Cassell. Although I agree with the take that Nick Nurse will have a job at some point, and I absolutely believe Mike Budenholzer will have a job. Let's not forget what he did in Atlanta. Name 3 people from those Hawks teams.
Al Horford.
Yeah, right. Al Horford, Marvin Williams, Kyle Korver. It ain't.
Kyle Korver. Right.
Yes.
Right. I forgot that. Yeah,
maybe Jeff Teague. I can't remember if that time's up.
He went 60-22 one year, man. Like, sheesh.
Got some more takes for Sam Cassell, so I like that. Ooh, I like here we go. There we go. Thank you, Justin. We do have some. All right.
Yep.
I got a little nostalgia for that Hawks squad.
Yep.
They shared, much like the Pacers, they were that, they kept running into LeBron. They couldn't get past LeBron.
Nate's got a very interesting take there.
Listen,
yeah.
How dare you, sir? Why would you do that to us?
No, Jay. JJ stays on TV. JJ is killing it on TV. I love JJ Redick on TV right now. He's so good. Keep him on TV.
He's not the basketball analyst that we deserve, but he's the one that we need right now.
Yep. Okay, Kev, we got a few more non-playoff news here before we're gonna.
All right.
We're gonna put. I saw a comment about finals predictions, and me and you have already stated ours, so we're going to put Kayla on the spot at the end.
Ooh.
But we got 2 of them this week. Grizzlies are not going to be re-signing Dylan Brooks back under any circumstance. What are your guys' thoughts on this?
You know what? Sorry, do you want to go ahead?
No, go ahead, Kayla.
All right. I've never really been a Brooks fan, but ever since this LeBron feud, I just lost so much respect. Because, if you're going to trash talk, you got to have the game to back it up. And clearly he didn't. Don't get me wrong. He's still a solid player, good two-way player. But they lost in 6 games. And, it's the Lakers. Good team, but, I feel like it was possible for them to win this series. And I do think it was a little harsh, though, how they said they weren't going to bring him back under any circumstances. And now he's under all this fire. But at the same time, I don't know. I don't want to say it was deserved, but I could see where they're coming from.
Yeah. I am torn on this one because I just find it funny that he poked the bear, and ultimately, the Grizzlies were not one to be poked. So they said, "We're done with this."
God, Nate.
The Bass Bro, he loves that thing. That pyramid. It is. Hey, that's one of the. I think that's the 9th wonder of the world. Actually, is the Bass Pyramid, Bass Pro Pyramid. But Memphis, I think what happened here, and JJ Redick had an interesting take on this. What I think happened here, because I don't know that it was Memphis that I don't believe it was Memphis that tweeted, we are not interested in re-signing Dylan under any circumstances. I believe that they told Dylan that, and that somebody else found out about it, and they decided to tell all of us. And I personally don't have a problem with an organization coming to a player and saying, just so you know, we're moving on. So that way he has as much time. Now, granted, it was like a day after. I mean, it might be pretty quick, right?
Yes.
Pretty quick for an exit interview. But I don't. So maybe the timing isn't great. I absolutely would agree with that. I don't think it was handled incredibly well by Memphis. I don't see why it needed to be done that night. Sometimes this stuff blows my mind. When it's like you couldn't have waited till the weekend or something. You can let this couldn't have released this news on a Friday night. But no, I think I don't have a problem with a team saying to a player, we're moving on. We just want you to know. Best wishes, all that stuff. I do have a problem with whoever it was who heard that and decided I need the clout and I'm going to go ahead and tweet this, because that's the only reason any of us are talking about it. The Grizzlies, I'm certain, didn't want this out. If they did, then shame on them for that, because then that is a bad move. That is not classless, but that's not, I don't like the optics there if they did leak this, but I don't believe that's what happened. I believe somebody heard this, saw the opportunity to get a lot of follows and likes on Twitter, and they ran with it. And then of course we have to talk about it because of the antics and everything that led up. So it's unfortunate, because it's one of those where as a person, I feel like, oh, it couldn't have happened to a nicer guy, right? Like, you know what this is? It's the world's smallest violin, and it's playing just for Dylan Brooks. But it's still a human being. I wouldn't want to be fired tomorrow and find out on Twitter or whatever that, or whatever. So I have some empathy for him, but hopefully this is a learning moment for him, because he is young. I don't know, I've heard him be accused of being maybe a Pat Beverly type who may not be as valuable as he claims, but he's an NBA player. He's going to have a second chance here. Hopefully this teaches him to, make sure his money is where his mouth is, or maybe just to do a little less talking, especially when it's LeBron.
I know.
Are you kidding me?
Okay, when he said you need to drop like 40 on me to get my respect, I'm like, okay, this is LeBron James, buddy.
Yeah.
Like, relax there.
Most points ever. Like,
oh my God. And then he proceeded to drop like 20 points and 20 rebounds on him in the next game.
Yes.
And I'm like,
oh
40, wow.
Yep.
Do you respect him now? Like, I thought that was hilarious. But I also think it's a little far-fetched too. I've been seeing a lot of comments about how like no one's gonna pick up Brooks. And I'm like, that's not it, right?
Yeah,
that's impossible.
Yeah. I think
someone will take him.
Exactly.
I like Nate's take on this. Like, I think the Grizzlies are at a culture. They're at a crossroads here. They're using Dylan Brooks as a scapegoat, when in reality, Memphis has completely changed the way people think about this franchise in less than a year. Remember last year, they were the plucky upstarts. They had the rising star in Ja, Desmond Bane. Like, they were the fun upstart team. Now they come off as punks, arrogant, dirty. They created this, and obviously Lee's got a good point there. All the problems Ja had, all the off the court stuff this year, like, they created this culture. And I don't think Dylan Brooks is good. Like, he's fine. Like, he's not great, but he's not their problem. He didn't create that culture. He's being used as a scapegoat right now. And I agree, that kind of comment should never get out, and that's on them. Like, as much as I'm not a Dylan Brooks fan outside of his poke the bear comment, I can't stop laughing at it. I thought it was hilarious how he delivered it. It's not, he didn't do this. He didn't make this culture. He didn't turn these guys into this, and they're just using him as a scapegoat right now. I really do. I think Nate's right. Like, they are at a crossroads, and they've got some baggage, some inside stuff they got to deal with.
Well, Ja also took some of the responsibility for that too. A few days ago, I think he released a comment or something. He was like, part of that was on me, and like all the issues I've had off the court, right? When he was suspended for a couple games there, right? So, I mean, it's also on him a little bit, right? But I think that he's going to learn from this, hopefully, and hopefully they can move on too.
Yep, I agree.
Yeah, I agree with that. And it's funny because you mentioned this, James, and I wanted to throw this out here because there were those who at the time I actually kind of gave them some shit on Twitter, because there were those who were complaining about Memphis's behavior as a team last year when they were those last year when they were the rebellion instead of the empire, and they weren't everybody's bad guy. Yeah, thank you. I had to today. There were people saying, "Hey, look out, man! This culture is kind of toxic. What these guys are doing, they kind of have some bad attitudes. They're kind of entitled." And at the time, because I'm the guy who gets in fights with people over Wander Franco flipping up a ball before he throws a guy out at first. I want you to have fun. I want you to show the kids that look up to you that it's okay to have fun, that they shouldn't be scared to go out there and make a mistake, So like, I want to root for that kind of stuff. But then you see what's been going on here with Memphis and how it's just progressed and gotten worse. And now I find myself reflecting, saying, people tried to warn me. And I will just say this to make one more football reference. Jimmy Johnson once said, "I'm either coaching it or I'm allowing it." So I agree. This is not Dylan Brooks's issue. I would even say it's not strictly John Morant's issue. It's a coaching issue and it's a front office issue. They're not everything trickles down, but I do believe that leadership and behavior is something you emulate what you see. You can create a culture, and if you're not coaching it, you're allowing it, and that's the way it's going to have to stop.
I think John.
Boom! Hey, Paulo. Boom!
Yeah, Paulo,
retweet.
I popped it right up there. I think John's got a fantastic take here too. If you'd have asked someone a month or two ago and they said Brooks is the heart and soul of the team, what a wild, expeditious fall from grace.
Look at those TikToks where he was in the center when they're doing the warm up stuff and they're dancing. It was.
It's something. My last non-NBA playoff news, Kev, Kayla, everybody's going to know my thoughts on this. I don't have to speak on this one. I was going to say the Joker, but he did not. Joel Embiid wins the MVP award. He beats out the Joker. The Joker does not get the three-peat. Let me pop the banner up here. Here is your voting results. Embiid won pretty handily. Really not close. What are your guys' thoughts on this? I know what my thoughts are. I've made them very clear this year.
I'm going to let Kayla take the lead because James and I have talked about this one a lot, so I already know we're on the same page.
Yeah, well, for me, up until March, my pick for MVP was Jokic. I even wrote an article about it. I was like, this is why Jokic will win MVP. I was so convinced. He had broken all these records, putting up crazy stats. At one point, he was the only player in the NBA to be averaging a triple-double that season. He was just doing it all. And then after I saw Embiid have a 52-point game against the Celtics, I was like,
late in the season too. It was late in the season too. Yep.
Exactly, right? It was like late April, about there, mid-April. And I was like, yeah, so that pretty much led him to winning that, I think. It really solidified his case for it. And I also think his availability this season was just huge. I think he played about 66 games, second most in his career, which is huge, right?
Just over the new threshold, too.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
Joker played 69, so they were very similar.
Yeah, and it feels like Embiid missed more time for some reason, right? Because I think Jokic, he missed a lot of games, but they were kind of more spread out. He had some issues with COVID. I think some other issues. I can't remember what exactly. But with Embiid, I remember he missed a good chunk.
And Embiid missed a big,
right? So it felt like he missed a lot more than Jokic.
Yeah.
And then even Giannis, he was always kind of my third pick. But I was a little bit surprised, but it's good for Embiid. I think voter fatigue played a little bit of a role, because if you look at it, the last time a player three-peated as MVP was Larry Bird back in the 80s. So
I think you're right. It was a long time ago.
It's been a while. Yeah.
Larry Legend. Sorry, I had a moment. Anytime anyone mentions Larry Bird, I just kind of go off. I dissociate. I was watching some highlights in my head there for a second, but
from French Lick.
I agree exactly. I still have my Hick from French Lick T-shirt around here somewhere.
Yeah.
I agree with the voter fatigue take, although I think it's good. I'm happy that Kayla is good with it, because then it won't be a bobblehead segment.
Because me and you are going to say the
James
same
and I are both on this voter fatigue train, and because I just feel like I'm just going to hand this one to James, because he feels a little bit more passionately about it than I do. I'm just going to echo his sentiment. So the floor is yours, sir.
I think it's the LeBron thing. He's been so good for so long, you take him for granted, 63% from the field this year, 38% from three, just barely didn't average a triple-double, 24.5 points, 11.8 rebounds, 9.8 assists. He's just ultra efficient. And this is not taking anything away from Joel Embiid. He averaged the most points in the NBA this year, 33.1 a game, 10 rebounds a game. He doesn't bring a ton passing, just 4 assists per game, only 54% or 55% from the field, 33% from three. I think the late season stumble for the Nuggets, I think that cost them. So many people put so much stock into them being just 500 that last month of the season. Everybody's like, what's wrong with the Nuggets? Or they stumble at the wrong time. The sky's falling. They're going to get wiped out in the playoffs. I think there was so much stock put into that. And then what Kayla said too, Embiid had that 52-point game right at the right moment. It might have been the last week of the season, just a mega game right at the right time. I'm not taking it away from Embiid. Listen, he had a hell of a season. They were absolutely 1-2. Like, I agree with Kayla again. Giannis was a distant third. I think it's voter fatigue. I'll stand by it. And Embiid or Jokic said it best. He doesn't even care. Like, he's here to win games. Like, if they win a title, this is an irrelevant conversation.
Yeah. Yeah, he'll gladly take the title. I think especially when you have an MVP, you'll gladly take the title over.
That's now what's hanging over his head, especially after the last 2 playoff exits, which not really fair because Murray gets hurt and misses. So he's got bigger aspirations.
Yeah, absolutely. Eyes on the prize. And I will say this, and none of this is relevant. None of this should matter.
Justin Herbert will never let this down.
Yes, it will never let it down. It was always the Owls until it wasn't. However, so this is relevant. It's just a little personal. It helps me feel better about it. There have been a couple of times over the last 2 years where I felt that if Joel Embiid hadn't gotten hurt, that he was the MVP. I'm thinking maybe not last year, but the year before. The timeline's kind of foggy for me. But there was a year I remember writing a first half MVP.
I bet it was 2 years ago. I bet you're right.
I believe it was 2 years ago, where I just felt like it's his to win, and then he gets hurt, and strictly because he got hurt, he just doesn't have the chance to even be in the running at the end. So in my head, I'm just kind of telling myself either way, like, he deserves to have an MVP on his trophy case or in his trophy case. That's how I feel about Embiid anyway. Yeah. So although I have my issues with voter fatigue, I hate it. I think it's nonsense that people get bored by greatness. It's just I don't even want to unpack that. This isn't psychology class, but it astounds me to no end that we can get bored at seeing, and not even get bored, sometimes just actively root against it because it's good. So yeah, I'm okay with it. I really wish it was not the case, but since it went to Embiid, which I shouldn't be result. You see what I'm doing to myself? You see what this does to me? I don't want to be results driven. I'm coping. This is what coping is like.
Coping. Nate's got a good point. Embiid's one of the few that survived the process.
Yes. Yeah. And then just you try being on a team with Ben Simmons. Come on.
Oh boy.
That's a whole other issue.
Not my boy Markel, Nate. He got out. Markel got out. John with a good one here too.
Oh, I gotta love a good Larry Bird. Larry Bird and Reggie Miller are the reasons I got so many detentions in school because I was taught the wrong things.
All right, here I'm gonna go back. I gotta find my comments that I had it saved.
Oh yeah, because we had one last one, right? Was it the?
Yeah. It's
from Nate.
Kev, yeah, it's Nate. While I'm looking, Kev, you want to give us an update on that game?
Yeah, let's take a look.
It is at halftime, I think.
Refresh. I was gonna say it looks like it's at halftime. It seems we have a 67-56 Warriors lead at the half. So, Kayla, what are your thoughts? Let me give you some stats before I ask for those, I guess. Klay Thompson has 19. Steph Curry only has 8. But all 4 bench players have contributed at least 3 points. So what are your thoughts there, Kayla?
I still think the Warriors should be able to edge out the Lakers this game. I mean, Klay's getting hot, right? We were talking about that earlier. That's going to be crucial to them winning. How are LeBron and Davis doing, though? What's their
LeBron's
stats?
having a monster game. He's got 21 and 5 on
3 of 5 from 3.
Anthony Davis is a bag of garbage right now.
2 of 7 for 4 points.
Yep. 5 rebounds, 4 assists. 3
and
turnovers.
He's played the most. He's got 21 minutes in the first half. So he was out there doing a lot of nothing today.
Yep. Looney, you called Looney. Looney's doing solid. He's got 65 right now. Yep.
I don't know if LeBron's going to be enough to carry
I don't think
the Lakers this game.
3 of 5 from 3. Shooter now. It's back.
I mean, he's doing great. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I mean, can't cut out Curry yet. That's for sure. Right?
Yep. Mm-hmm.
He can get hot just like that. Right? Yep. So Thompson's carrying. Looney's doing great. I think it'll be close, though. I have a feeling it's going to be like probably within maybe 5 to 7 points. It'll probably be close throughout the second half, I think.
I think so, too. All right, I found my comment. So me and Kev have talked on this show extensively over the last probably 6 months now, Kayla. We know who we're going to say. So I'm going to pose this to you. Nate joined this stream late. I saw this earlier. I skipped it over. If you had to pick now, who is your finals matchup and who is your champion, Kayla? We're going to put you on the spot as our special guest tonight.
All right. This is tough, but, I'm going to say Nuggets in the West.
Yeah.
I'm a Nuggets fan now. Like, I'm hopping on the bandwagon,
Yeah, you're allowed. The bandwagon's got plenty of open doors.
So definitely Nuggets in the West.
Not for Kev, though.
That's true.
And then for the East, I have to say Celtics. I think that if they could beat the Sixers, which I think I'm leaning towards right now, especially with Embiid's injury, they're going to face the winner of the Heat Knicks, right? I mean, I don't see any upsets happening there, so I think they could pretty easily take either one of those teams, right? So, I'm saying Celtics Nuggets in the finals.
I like that.
Right? Yeah, but for the champs?
Who is your champ?
Honestly, I don't know. I think that's really tricky. With the Celtics, I love their depth. I think they have a little bit of an edge over Denver. But I also like how the Celtics have that finals experience, right? Which Denver doesn't. But they also have Murray back. It's been the first time in a while that they have like a pretty healthy team.
Probably since the bubble. I think it's been since the bubble. I think it's 3 years since Murray towards ACL. Michael Porter Jr.'s back, all kinds of stuff.
I'm gonna say the Celtics.
Okay.
It's hard, but like I have the Celtics just at a little bit of an edge because even looking back at the regular season, they were the only team in the league to have a top 3 offense and defense. They can do both. We've seen in the regular season how Denver has collapsed defensively. We've even seen it a couple times in the playoffs too. I mean, the regular season and playoffs are obviously 2 completely different things. But so far, I've been seeing that Boston has been carrying that momentum over so far. And I just think they have that edge with the experience, the depth, and they're a very well-rounded team. And I'll give them that. Yep. So that's my pick.
I like it. I like it. The East is interesting. I love Nuggets. I'm a Nuggets proponent. I've been that all year. I saw an interesting one there. If the Warriors play the Nuggets, my heartstrings will be getting torn apart because I love both teams. But I will ride the Nuggets. I'm in. But that'd be a fun series too.
Yeah, I think Denver would still be able to win against the Warriors. I have a feeling. Yeah, Denver's it's going to be tight though. Probably like 6-7 games, right?
That one is absolutely going to 7.
Yeah.
Chalk would be in theory, the home team should win every game because those were the 2 best home teams in the West.
That series will go
scary good at home.
And I'll miss every single game because they're so late.
Yeah, I'll be in bed.
Exactly.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, John's all right.
Miss every single one of those. Yeah, I'm gonna stick with that. I agree. So Denver, although like as we talked about before, I like to get I'm like Ruxin. I'm Ruxin from the league. I'm a tinkerer. So I was like, oh, the Nuggets, they're the guys. But here's why the Clippers could sneak in and get that. But I'm sticking with the Nuggets as they're going to be my team coming out of the West. And then I'm also sticking with the Celtics, but I will say if somehow the Sixers beat the Celtics, I think whoever wins that series is coming out of the East. No disrespect to the Heat or to the Knicks, but
I agree with you on that.
Yeah. I would love to see Hemi buckets in the Eastern Conference Finals. Then you also weirdly start getting into the timeline of can Tyler Hero come back?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he might be able to return. I heard that if they make it all the way to the finals, right? I think it was like a month.
4 to 6 weeks.
4 to 6 weeks? Yeah, recovery
time. If it gets the Eastern Conference Finals, you're pushing the 3-week territory. Like, who knows? Yep. Be something to think about.
I guess it was good that it happened in game 1 at least, right? Because that was like the very first day, so more time to recover.
Everybody wrote him off. He broke his hand, and everybody wrote him out of the series.
Right?
They thought their season was over. They're like, oh yeah, he's done for the season. It's like, wait, he's out for like 4 weeks.
Yeah.
Oladipo's done though, for sure.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
I think he's going to come back for training camp, though.
Yeah, he's done for quite some time. He is.
Shocker again.
Yep. John's great with this. When you add elite cutters around, the best passing big we've ever seen. Like, that's a big deal.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, good. They're going. It's their year. It's got to be their year.
Got to be their year.
Jamal Murray finally gets that redemption arc from the bubble. So was that our last non-play? Well, that was a playoff topic, but that's
all I've got, Kev. That's all I've got, bud.
There we go. Well, last score update. Warriors are currently up 14, so it's
74 to 60. Yep,
pretty good for them right now. So
it is the Klay Thompson game, Kayla.
They're heating up.
He's 6 of 8 from 3.
Oh, Nate just keeps up in the ante here
on the show. I'm gonna hold
it on. I
put
it on screen here.
I'll be so sad if they don't win it.
Let it linger for a little while so it's harder to edit out. There we go. Okay, there we go. We've got him. So before we get into our goodbyes here and all the shameless plugs and all that stuff, I want to start by thanking everyone in the chat. This has been one of our most watched as far as the live viewers go.
I saw the numbers too. I was very
I think this might be our best show to date. So thank you guys so much.
Just Kayla, she brought them all. She brought all our fans.
Fan base.
Yeah, her fan base.
Kayla brought all, representing. So thank you to everyone. There's actually too many names for me to run you all out this time, but thank you so much, everybody who joined us in the chat today. You are the best. And let me remind you that we have Tuesday at 9 and Wednesday at 9, we have our football shows, Necessary Roughness and Another Damn Fantasy Podcast. So be sure to check out John, Nick, and Michael on Tuesdays and Trevor and Dan on Wednesdays. We have more shows coming for you, late night, early morning, all that stuff. So be sure you're following us on Twitter so you can stay updated when all that stuff happens. Now, Kayla, thank you so much. As everyone has pointed out, you brought the thunder today. We appreciate you so much, not only for the Kayla effect, but just for your time and your analysis. I had a lot of fun. It was a blast having you on. So thank you so much. Obviously I've worked with you before, but this was great. Hope
thank you guys for having me. Honestly, it was a great time. I'd love to talk and analysis with you.
Yes. Thank you for joining us, Kayla.
Thank you guys.
You called the Clay game. Woof.
Yeah, and you called that. Yeah, so you're welcome back anytime. Let the folks at home know where they can find you.
Oh, yeah, for sure. You can find me Last Word on Sports. And on Instagram, I'm Kayla.Fonte5. Or on Twitter, I'm Kayla_Fonte, I believe. I'm not as active on Twitter, but Instagram, definitely on there.
Nice. Awesome. Yeah. And check out those articles. I happen to know a guy who's edited a lot of Kayla's work and it's phenomenal. Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah, give her a read. She's got some great, you thought this analysis was good. There's plenty of more gold to be found. So James, what about you, good sir? Where can the folks find you outside of a galaxy far, far away?
Oh, you can find me there. Every Thursday night here, 9:00. You can catch me on all socials, Schmeitz06. John, I'm sorry, buddy. The Twin Towers are not winning the championship. However, John, I will be all in. We will do live shots on the show of absence if the Heat win this whole thing. We will be all over that.
I think John might be doing shots of absinthe right now.
Yeah.
Oh, that's great. Well, thank you all again. Of course, I am Kev Nevick _ on all socials. You can find me right here Thursday nights, 9 p.m. Eastern on The Bounce. But be sure to subscribe to Bite Size Sports here on YouTube, or follow us on Twitch or on Facebook, wherever you're watching us. We appreciate you because we have more shows coming. There's more stuff in the works. So we are going to very soon. I feel like we're going to have a show every night of the week here real soon. So let's see how, you know what? And on that note, go Wolves. I got nothing else for you. I'm malfunctioning. I'm shutting down. Thank you all so much. We'll see you next time.
Bye, guys.